just thought I would share with you my favorite workout video. It's one of my very, very favorites. Hey, do me a favor and say to the person next to you, we're going to shape up today. We're going to shape up today. Yes, we are. And today we're going to talk about spiritual fitness. Today's message is about getting into shape from the inside out. Now, 11 of us gardeners have committed to sharing in this Team World Vision water project, where we are going to participate in the monumental marathon, some of us the half monumental marathon, to help try to raise some funds to bring clean water to Africa. And what's interesting to me is since we've been doing this over the last few weeks, things are changing for many of us. It's just 20 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day. On Saturdays, they have a 35-minute walk where we all gather together. That's what that picture was. And we all take a walk together through Carmel, and then you stop at the farmer's market and get something sweet to eat on the way home. But it's been a great adventure, I have to tell you, and in just about 3 weeks, I'm noticing a difference. I think things are really kind of changing around a little bit. And this all started me thinking, what if we started thinking about our spiritual being in a very similar way? What if we thought about finding a way to get into spiritual fitness? You know, Paul once said, train yourself in godliness, for while physical training is of some value, godliness is valuable in every way, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. Eckhart Tolle, in his book, The Power of Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment, he puts it this way. He says, if you get the inside right, the outside will fall into place. If you get the inside right, the outside will fall into place. His point is if we start living from the inside out, then this physical world will kind of fall into place. We get confused so often that this is what life is all about. But for Tolle, it really is all about right in here. This is what life is all about. In the fall, we're going to once again offer the SHAPE class. About 20 of us went through the SHAPE class last year, and it's a reminder, this SHAPE process is a reminder to all of us that God has created us with a divine purpose and meaning, and what it helps you do, it helps the person who participates do, is really kind of hone in on what those gifts are. The word SHAPE is actually an acronym for what the author has put together, a process that he believes that indeed will make you the person God's called you to be. You know, the person you are today, God thought of, some believe, at the beginning of time. In fact, the psalmist recognized that their very being was created by God. The psalmist said this in a prayer to God, or a praise to God, "For you, God, who have formed my inward parts, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works that I know very well." So we have indeed been fearfully and wonderfully made with a particular shape. Now, as I said before, the word SHAPE is an acronym for SHAPE. The first is our spiritual being, the author talks about. Our spiritual gifts, those gifts, that energy that functions in a way that brings goodness into the world. If you function in a particular way spiritually, where you recognize the world is a better place because of it, those are your spiritual gifts. Now, for some, those gifts are peace and patience and kindness. For others, it's a willingness to never give up on something that's important. For others, it's being a good listener or sharing in a message. Some, it's caring for others, while others, it's writing or singing. These are all spiritual gifts. And our spiritual gifts are those energies that not only bring goodness into the world, but into our lives as well. The second element the author talks about is our heart. That is, that God has created a heart within all of us that at the very essence of his being is to love. And not only love ourselves, but love others in the world. One of my favorite stories recently is when I was talking to a gardener who is getting ready for retirement. I asked her, what do you love to do? And she loves to golf. She loves to golf, which leads to the next word, which is the A, which stands for your abilities. And she has a pretty good ability as well. And what's interesting is that she has found a way, or has a desire for when she retires, to take this ability and that gift that she has to make a difference in the lives of inner city kids. I look forward to seeing how this program that she's working on comes together, to work with inner city kids to help them develop a love for golf. So she's using her heart and her ability to do so, which leads to the third thing, her personality. We each have a personality, right? A personality that makes up who we are. Some are shy and quiet, others are outgoing, others like to spend time with family, others don't. We each have a unique personality that makes up who we are. And that is part of our shape as well. And then finally, our experiences help make up our shape. All the experiences that you have had through the whole of your life help in this shape design. Now, the interesting thing to me about these experiences, it's the ones that are good, but it's also the ones that are painful as well. I believe that God will never let a painful experience just sit in pain, that inevitably that experience will bring goodness into the world in some way or another. In fact, leaving here today, someone shared a story about how their pain and their struggle was then able to speak to someone else who's in the hospital right now with a similar pain and struggle, and it seemed to bring some comfort to that person. That's taking pain and suffering and bringing goodness into the world, which is what God will do. So all of these elements make up the shape of who we are. Now, what's really interesting, if we're really living into who we're called to be, there is one common element. We are all called to serve one another and to serve humanity. You have been created to make a difference in the life of someone else. Now, what's interesting is once you figure out your shape, it doesn't matter what you do for a living, what you're doing in your retirement, it doesn't matter what you do on a daily basis. If what you do is in service to others, you will find, indeed, that God will work through you. You've seen it happen before. You have gone to a fast food restaurant and you experience that person who recognizes it is their job to serve you in an incredible way. You've seen those people. You've witnessed them and you've seen how they get their jobs done. Guess what? That's for all of us. No matter what we do, if you're an accountant, if you're a pastor, if you work at a fast food restaurant, if you're a nurse, it doesn't matter. As long as you're in service to others, you're living into your shape. And God will use the likes of you and me to make a difference in the world. That's very exciting. So, today, as we continue to think about our greater shape and getting fit from the inside out, we have to have a process, much like the one we've been participating in with this walking thing, getting ready for the marathon. The 20 minutes, the 25 minutes, the taking time to walk together. You have to do the same thing spiritually. In order to develop a relationship with God, it requires time and it requires just a little bit of energy. Dr. John Ellerby is an author who has done extensive work in theology, spirituality, and the renewing of ancient practices for spiritual well-being. I decided to include a picture because I didn't think that's what he would look like. And I have a strong desire to read all of his books now, but that's beside the point. In order for us to truly figure out what our shape is, Ellerby says you got to start working on it, much like we are the walking. And he has a 10-step process for doing this. I love his first one. He says, what's important for us is to be aware of junk moods. Just like junk food, junk moods destroy us and destroy the world around us. He says you have to be aware and make a concentrated effort to reduce the people, places, and things that drain your energy or entrap you in a negative mood. He speaks specifically, and for some people who use those games, to participate in violence on a regular basis. That is contributing to your junk mood, or on those games and those things. To watch it on TV or to watch it in movies. Less violence. Be intentional about that. Be intentional about participating in less gossip or complaining about life on a regular basis. As we discussed last week, complaining through Twitter feeds and all of those other things are just a way of life now. He says that contributes to junk moods, and what you want to do is you want to stay away from that and continue to work on a balanced life, balanced from the inside spiritual out. The next thing he says is an important thing to do is on a daily basis, make sure you lift someone else's spirit every day. You know, it is not all about me. I get confused about that periodically. And what's interesting is when you take the time to say, you know what, you made a difference for me today, or when you take the time to lift someone else up in some kind of way, God will use that moment to not only transform that person, but to transform you as well. Lift someone else up. Hold the door open for a busy person, or offer encouragement to be with someone in need, or simply just take some time to be present with someone else during a difficult situation. Helping others in small ways will indeed pay off on your plan for spiritual fitness. The next thing he recommends is you know your spiritual personality. What I love about the Saturday walks or runs is it's just that. What happens is you're able to work at the speed that works for you or into your personality. Those people running those 2-minute miles, they leave first on Saturday morning. I leave last on Saturday morning. You know, you got to figure out what's going to work for you, and you have to make that work. Figure out what your spiritual personality is. If you are a person that can pray for 30 minutes straight, then thanks be to God, you go forth and do that. If you're a person who can only pray one breath at a time, then you go ahead and do that. What's important is that you find out what works for you, and that's the gift or skill that you work on. He says you have to understand that this is about the relationship not only with yourself, but with God. And if you're building it from the inside out, you can't resource the outside world to determine what your personality is. The next thing he says is he suggests you pick a daily practice and stick to it. Pick a simple activity that helps you to return to a calm and reflective place at least once a day. As I said before, that could be 30 minutes or that could be 3 minutes. Whatever it is, the purpose of that activity is to reduce stress, distraction, and to help you again focus on being spiritually fit from the inside out. The next thing he suggests is that you play with others. I have to tell you, if I had not committed before all of you and before these other 11 people that I was going to walk on a regular basis, I'm not sure I would have actually done it, if I was going to be honest. But if you take time to play with others, to work with others, and to hang out with others in something that's important to you, God will work through that experience to make a difference. There was someone here this morning at the first service who 4 weeks ago was walking less than a mile, and she informed me today that she is walking 4 miles. Why? Because it's not about us. It's to make a difference for kids in Africa, and it's about connecting with one another in a new and different way. He also says an important element to this process is to be a seeker. To be a seeker. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Remember, there is no right or wrong. It's just a matter of you committing to be in a stronger relationship with God from the inside out. If you have put together a list of practices that aren't working, just simply ask, well, why isn't this working? And then figure out how you can make it work. And come back always to ask yourself this question: what makes my heart sing? And how does this activity help my heart to sing and my relationship with God? He suggests you find a teacher. Today, as we're working on spiritual fitness, who do you admire? Who do you find as somebody who is really spiritually fit and sound? Who is somebody that you admire not only for that, but how they live their lives on a regular basis? Somebody who you always leave feeling better about yourself. He suggests you talk to that person and say, you know what? I need some help. I'm looking for someone who can be a teacher or a mentor to me on how I can live my life better. And then you tell them what it is about their life that you admire, that you think that maybe you could benefit from. And inevitably, not only do you feel better about identifying what you want, but they feel a little better too about being able to be a mentor or a teacher. The next thing he recommends is finding your tribe. Find your tribe. This is the tribe we call the garden. This is an amazing tribe, and I love this tribe, and I love being present with this tribe. But I have to tell you that I'm not sure how much I know each and every one of you in my tribe. I have a desire to get to know you better. And when you commit just a little bit of your time, it will make a difference. Last year, some of us participated in this shape class, and there were maybe about 20 of us. And it was really a profound and amazing experience for those of us who were in it. Not only did we finish the class, but this smaller group of our tribe has committed to get together at least once a month. I found out it's at my house Wednesday, and I'm very excited about that. To get together once a month to check in on our shape or what our mission and vision in life is, and to just check up on one another and to make sure that God is continuing to work in our lives, and maybe even hold one another a little accountable. I encourage you to take the shape class, because it forever changed the group of us who took it, and I guarantee it'll change you too. Then he recommends that the next thing we do is we celebrate our growth. Celebrate what's working. When you do see a change, celebrate what's working. I have to tell you, I haven't necessarily been perfect at this walking thing. I bet you find that hard to believe. I can't even tell you I've actually done it every day, but I stand before you today, I'm different. I'm changed. I don't know exactly how it happened, but I'm going to celebrate it no matter what. LOB finally suggests that we live big. Live big. And that is an acronym for living in blessing, intention, and gratitude. You are called to be God's blessing in this world. I want to encourage you to bring that blessing to every situation in life. Remember, God works through the painful ones and the good ones, and God's going to work through you. There is a blessing in this world. There is a blessing in each moment. You are the blessing bringer. It is your job to figure out what it is, to name it, to claim it, and to indeed recognize that God's presence and blessing is in this world. Then be clear about your intention. Be clear about your intention to say, God, I am going to pray 30 minutes today, or I am going to pray one breath at a time. Be clear about your intention to grow inwardly. And then be clear about that intention with others in life. I am intending to live my life this way. Finally, he says, be thankful. Paul says, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. Yes, things are not working, but we're leaving those junk moods behind to indeed be mindful that there is goodness in this world. When we agreed to shape up, then God's going to go to work in big ways in our lives. Today our music has been about shaping up, but it's also been about change and recognizing that God has a change for you in all life circumstances. Oftentimes we reach an age where we forget that. We forget that God has good things in store for us on this journey. I want you to be mindful today that change is good, and that God is seeking to continue to bring youthfulness and goodness out of your life from the inside out on a daily basis. For the close of this message, Kimberly is going to sing a beautiful song about a change from within and what it looks like.